if he wants
Sure,
to do
we
that.
can do that.
Why is it not letting me do the live streaming?
I think this stuff's funny,
Uh,
man. Sometimes you just gotta laugh about it.
God
We
damn.
had like we had like 2 people watching. Maybe it was just us, but I don't know.
I mean, I'm watching from the like the homeroom. So,
Yeah, I'm watching from there too.
oh, we're live. Oh my god. Okay, where is this? Hold on, let me just.
Hello, welcome back. We had like 2 people watching. Sorry, we had
Okay,
some technical difficulties.
we're back. We have we've solved the problem. I don't know what happened. Like I thought, like everything was going fine, and then it just said stream complete, and I'm like, what the fuck? All right. Weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
All right. Well, I think we've hammered on the abortion thing for long enough. Now that we've had, now that even YouTube is like, shut the fuck up
Yes,
about abortion. Um.
it was fate telling us
Yeah.
talk about something else.
It's God's looking down like I'm bored. Move on.
Why are you guys still talking about this? Tell me about the threats to Trump Tower.
That's right. Thank you for that transition. New Jersey
Yes,
man charged with threatening to bomb Trump Tower. Woo! All right, 20-year-old New Jersey man accused of threatening on social media to shoot everybody at a pro-Israel march and bomb the Trump Tower was arrested on Wednesday on a string of federal charges, prosecutors said. Uh, Asshole McGee of Baking Ridge was taken into custody on charges of attempting to provide material support to Hamas. According to the charging documents, Asshole McGee appeared to be appeared in an Instagram live video on April 2019 wearing a black ski mask and displayed a handgun. Oh man, tough guy. As he expressed the desire to attack demonstrators at a pro-Israel rally. Ah, okay. And these guys are using his name, which pisses me off. All right.
Yeah, it's always hard not to use their name.
Yeah, I'm seriously like, it's really gonna have to get to a point where anytime I'm reading a story, I just default to asshole McGee, no matter what. Um,
Yeah, you should start practicing that. I think that'd be great.
I swear to God, I'm gonna end up accidentally like reading one of these stories. Is that instead of reading off something like Jordan Peterson and Tim Pool, it's gonna be like, asshole McGee said. All right, 20-year-old New Jersey, which someone on the left would actually be thrilled about. Um, 20, but yeah, message that guy that was trying to get a hold of us, see what he wants to do. Because I'm thinking
Yeah,
I'm thinking like next week. That seems more reasonable.
yeah, I'm
Um,
writing him now. He said he's available next week, so we can do it.
yeah, not because I don't want him on, but I want to give him like an actual like the whole show with us. You know, if he wants to do that. 20-year-old New Jersey man accused of threatening social media to shoot everybody at a pro-Israel march. We already read that. Asshole McGee. Yep, said that already. Homegrown violent extremists like McGee are a serious national threat to national security. The actions that he took and planned to take made that clear and present. Oh, he was actually going to do it. This wasn't just a threat. Oh shit. I guess I'm just used to at this point when we're talking about people that threaten to do bombings. It's like yeah whatever.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah, a
Sure.
lot. Like serious. Dude, you'd be surprised how many places just get bomb threats all the time. Like all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty sad if you think about it.
It really is. Like hundreds of bomb threats every year, and like one or two actually happen. And not because the security team actually did anything. It's just they weren't actually going to do it. It's so dumb. Um, According to charging documents, yep, he wants to shoot the pro-Israel demonstrators. That'll really show him. Get a gun and shoot your way through, or use a vehicle and rampage. Jesus Christ! All you need is a gun or a vehicle to go on a rampage. I don't care if security forces come after me. They will have to put a bullet in my head to stop me. Okay, good for you, buddy. Same month Z was.
Just tell me where.
Yeah, seriously. Was spotted outside of Trump Tower headquarters. Was he in a fucking Navy SEAL outfit? With 300 confirmed kills, you little bitch. You don't know who you're fucking with. We're talking about asshole McGee. Headquarters of the business is owned. Let me just I want to see something real quick. All right.
Well, he posted a poll too on, I think, Instagram or something.
He posted a poll?
Saying...
What was the poll?
Yeah, he posted a poll. He posted photos of Trump Tower with a poll asking if he should bomb it.
Oh my god! Please tell me they
should
didn't
I bomb
upvote
it?
him.
Yes or no?
Did they say?
I don't
yes?
know. I didn't actually find the poll. It was just in the story
sake.
that was there.
Oh my god! They probably did too. Bunch of fucking idiots.
I don't know, man.
Right. I mean, he went and did it. So, and after all, we all know that if you put up a poll, you have to abide by the results. So.
Yep, they're binding.
Right, yes. Polls are binding. As Britain found out to their extreme chagrin, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Yeah, I've been following the Brexit thing for the past 3 years. I'm pretty familiar.
I've been desperate for it to happen now. We'll cover that and Milkshakes.
Yeah, I'm
and
excited.
More coming up.
Yeah, coming up on the Weekly Wrap with your favorite hosts, Jordan with the sexy voice and Cody.
With the nasally voice.
With the dogs. He has the dogs.
With all the fucking dogs.
They're super cute. All right. In February, he said he wanted to join... Oh, I remember this now. Okay. I remember this. He wanted to join the U.S. Army in hopes of learning how to kill and applied for a security clearance as a first step, prosecutors said. No wonder he fucking got caught. You're in the system, man.
Try to join the army.
Seriously.
Why do you want to join the army? I want to learn how to kill.
Yeah, seriously. Like, your fucking bunkmates are going to notice that you're like the brooding bitch over in the corner. It's like, my life is so dark. The only reason I'm here is to learn how to kill my enemies. It's like, oh my god, shut the fuck up, dude. Alright, he's also accused of sending money to an individual in the Gaza Strip aligned with a faction of Hamas that has carried out attacks against civilian targets in Israel. Immediately clear if McGee, who faces more than 30 years in federal prison, if convicted on all charges...
Trump, but he also hates the Jews. What's the right way of saying that? Anyway,
he hates everybody that isn't Muslim, seeing as he's supporting Hamas, is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
There we go. Okay, I think I managed to fix my internet situation.
You don't hear the mainstream media talking about this guy. They won't talk about this guy for a night. They'll talk about him for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like breaking news, and then it never comes up again.
Yeah, it's like, if we get to it, we'll talk about it. But
yeah,
all the anti-Semites are Republicans, for sure. Like, no. There are. I'm sure there are anti-Semitic Republicans or conservatives, but there's definitely anti-Semitic right-wing people. But there's also anti-Semitic, I guess, left-wing people too. Yeah. I don't know. It's all confused because I don't think half the people that vote Democrat are left-wing necessarily.
Well, I think it's worth distinguishing between the political left and the factional left, because I mean, technically speaking, you could put this guy on the factional left, but if he's supporting Hamas, I have a distinct impression that if he was like king of the United States right now, he wouldn't be instituting Medicare for all and progressive tax policies. You know, something tells me that the extremely devout Muslim who is sending money to Hamas probably doesn't have super progressive policies. And that's not me taking a dig at Muslims. It's just, it's a reality that most Orthodox religious people are kind of conservative. Or not even kind of. You know?
Are super conservative.
Yeah, they're pretty fucking conservative. But they join the factional left for identity reasons. Like, it's an alliance of convenience. It's not an alliance of principle, because if you start digging into policy positions, the Muslims and the political left have almost nothing in common.
Well, yeah, we saw this in England in transition, where the Muslims they protested against LGBTQ curriculum taught in schools.
Sure.
Which I don't think it should be taught in schools. I don't think they should really, especially elementary schools. Like, if you want to teach sex ed in high school and maybe like 8th grade middle school, sure. But
as like a default thing, I don't really care. But
yeah, it's just like
it's one of those things where like if they want to bring it up and be like, hey, by the way, gay people exist to kids, okay, as long as you're not pushing like an ideology with it, as long as it
right,
stops at gay people exist, there are guys that like guys, and that's okay, and all right, now let's everybody get out your crayons. Like that's what I want.
right.
I'd be okay with that. That's fine. Like, because they're kids, they're not going to understand the whole thing. But I think they could understand that how you have a mommy and a daddy. Well, some people have a daddy and a daddy, and that's okay. And just move on.
Right. Right. It doesn't need to be a big like. We need to talk about this. We need to drill it into your head.
Production, yeah.
Because it often, I don't know. It just, to me, it feels like. I feel like we could have progressed. I hate that word because of the progressives, but I feel like we could have progressed further along more acceptance if these things weren't made political.
Yes.
Or as political.
Yes,
I can
absolutely.
understand making them political to fight for the rights, the equal rights under the law.
Mm.
But after that, like, it's just making it a political and then a divisive issue, and then you're just going to create people who don't really give a shit, but now because it's political and it's on the opposite political side of them, that it's become something that they're not going to support.
Well, yeah, you've turned it into a political cudgel where it's like, and if you don't support, it's like, what, you hate gay people? It's like, no, dude. The gay people in this, like, neither, like, first of all, you don't care about gay people if you're dragging them into a political fight. Okay?
Right.
Just straight up, you don't care about the transgender community, or you wouldn't be dragging them into your partisan politics. Like, I can't think of a bigger dick move than dragging an apolitical section of the population, for the most part, into your partisan fights. That's a dick move. Because, like, most of the things where everybody's like, transgender bathrooms, blah, da, 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 they were already going into the bathroom that they identified as. And it wasn't a problem. For the most part. Like, they're like, if you want to talk about some bumfuck town in Alabama, I feel like Alabama gets shit on constantly. Because I actually enjoyed my time there. Hi, Alabama. But, like, if you want to talk about some bumfuck town in Alabama where that's going to be a problem, okay. But it was going to be a problem anyway. The places where it was okay, those were the places that adopted it first, and it wasn't a big deal, and they've been doing it the whole time, which is why they didn't think it was a big deal. So you're drawing more attention to an already pretty vulnerable population in places where it's a problem, and changing absolutely nothing in places where it's not a problem. It's a dick move. Don't drag people into your fucking partisan fights. Let the culture move the way it's going to move naturally. I promise you. If people have their basic needs taken care of, eventually people will move on from the older ideas of like what's okay and what's not okay, and we'll all just for the most part we can get along and not totally shit on each other. I promise. Because most of us can already do that. It's the fucking partisans that are just determined for that not to happen.
Well, right, and I think who was it? I think it was Thomas Sowell was talking about it or whatever, but
sure,
he was saying like, well, when the Italians came over, they didn't try to force like acceptance of them through political. They just worked hard and integrated in the culture and learned the language and whatever. And then when the Irish came over, like they tried to go the political route and it took them longer to kind of become more successful.
Well, yeah, because they went with the loud and annoying route.
Right, like nobody likes politics, so why do you think if you get involved in politics, people are going to like you?
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty much...
We're going to force you to like us.
It's a similar thing where you see, like, with the Japanese and the Chinese. They never actually tried for acceptance. They just kept their head down, put their nose to the grindstone, worked hard, made their contributions, and if you do that for long enough, eventually the native population that was, like, all nervous and, like, had their hackles on end, eventually they're like, oh, okay, they're cool. Eventually the native population just says, Oh, okay. There's nothing wrong with these guys. They're just normal people that just want to go along to get along and work. That's what they want. Cool.
Well, yeah, I
I
think
can respect that.
the best way of overcoming that sort of like stereotype or prejudice is exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if somebody knows, a Chinese person, and they had like a preconceived idea, they're lazy, or they're taking all the good jobs or whatever.
I don't think anybody's calling the Chinese lazy.
No, but just as an example, like
Sure.
they had some stereotypical idea about
Right.
them, and if they actually know somebody who's Chinese, then they're like, well, like he's a good person, and especially if he shares values with them, if they live in the same community, it's like, well, I know this guy and he's a good guy, and I always try to. I'm very individualist, I guess. I'm a very independent kind of person. And so, like, I try not to think of, well, this guy's Chinese. Like, Chinese people are like this. I try to, and I'm not perfect. I don't always get it right. And I've told some off-color jokes in my youth. Let's be honest.
Well, I don't even think that's necessarily a problem. Because to me,
right, neither do I.
To me, when I hear someone because I'm a white guy, and because I'm actually the minority in my city, and I don't, because I'm sort of in this weird position where it's like I'm a white person and a minority, in America, which is really fucking weird. But
America, baby.
Yeah, I know. Welcome to Texas. We're fucking weird here. But yeah. So I kind of get to see it from the other side a little bit, where people in this city make white jokes all the time to your face, and it's like it's not like
what? I want to hear some of these white guys.
Oh,
jokes. I've always wanted to hear.
It's
them.
mostly like I don't ask me to nail it down because I was listening to it today, and we were like honestly, I was talking to a coworker, and she seems cool. That's why we were a little bit late, actually, is because I picked up a new job. But,
congrats.
Thank you. But yeah, we were talking about, like, a Parmesan cheese, and I was like, I can't, how do you guys eat that? And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, white people. Like, I don't know, we just sort of nom on it. It's good. It's like, it's the white skin. It's similar enough to Parmesan. It makes it delicious.
You put it on pizza.
Yeah, I know. And she's like, but you can't just eat it. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Parmesan's fucking delicious. But
right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard white people love cheese. Like
white people love cheese
and like mayonnaise and
white people like have these like the fucking like these bougie palates where they'll sit there. Oh, it's so delicious. Oh, hey, can you taste the coconut flavors in the wine? Oh, like that sort of thing. The Mexicans here love to make fun of you for that. They love to make fun of white people, and it's not like a malicious thing. It's a normalizing
observation.
Yeah, it's a normalizing thing. So I'm looking at, maybe it's just because I haven't experienced as much of it, so it doesn't annoy me yet. Maybe that's it. But for me,
do people come up and try to touch your hair and stuff?
No, I mean it's nothing like that. But I mean, like, all of the things that I hear people talk about when it comes, like, especially like the black community, because nobody tries to come touch my hair. Fair enough.
Right, that's just weird. Like,
that
I would
is
never
weird.
do that.
That is weird. That is strange. I will give them that. I don't understand.
I've actually had people that wanted to do that. I'm bald.
Really?
So they want to touch like my bald head.
That's dumb as fuck.
They don't want to touch my hair because I don't have any.
Right.
But,
they just want to see what the shiny look feels like.
Yeah, and to be completely fair, most of the times that occurs is usually in a bar setting where people have been drinking.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I get to see a little bit from the other side where it's like, people, like, you hear black people talk or Asians talk about, oh, they fetishize our bodies. Yeah, they do, because it's out of the ordinary. And guess what? It's the same thing here, where there's this whole section of the population that, again, primarily Hispanic. So they look at, I don't know, black people or white people or Asians, and, like, because there's so few of us here, of the minorities, because this place is like 73% Hispanic. It is very Hispanic.
Yeah.
They will...
Do you know Spanish?
I know I've picked up a little bit. Like I'm not fluent, but I've picked up.
You should learn, man. It's great.
I've picked up enough to be somewhat functional, but yeah, it's sort of the same thing where they'll like actively fetishize you and like drool over white guys or black guys or whatever.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Because it's weird because it's out of the ordinary. They like that.
We have a large Hispanic population in Oregon too, sure. At least in the area I live.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was kind of interesting that you get like Hispanic women that want to marry white men.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's like you said, they're fetishizing it, or they just think that they're more stable, or they have more money, or cynical. They just want citizenship, or if they're just attracted to those people. And
I know in Brazil, there's like they like white skin so much that they like white guys because they feel like they're gonna make whiter babies, and the whiter babies in Brazil are considered like better. So
I should have moved to Brazil. I'm like translucent.
They'll love you, fuck. Especially with your bald head, can really show off the white.
Right, it reflects the sun practically. Like, oh my god,
he glows in the sun. Oh, he's so white.
Well, I can't be out in the sun too long.
Just get like an umbrella that has like lights on the inside, so you can still have the shiny reflective head without having the sun.
That's right.
Stupid.
One of those umbrella hats.
But yeah, I've got like a lot of the things I hear, national minority groups talk about, like, Asians and black people and national Hispanics too, because they'll get some of that if they're in areas where they're not 73% Hispanic. But yeah, I've experienced a lot of the same things they're talking about, because I already know, I can hear it now where people are like, oh, you're not a minority. And on the national scene, that's true. But in my area, I absolutely fucking am. I know like 3 other white people. Seriously. Seriously, there's not very many of us. At least not in my part of town. Like, if you go up north side, it becomes a lot more white. But down in my area, nah. It is. There are no white people down here.
Well, yeah, certain parts of Oregon, like there's a city here where I would say it's probably, if it's not like 50-50, it's pretty close, like white and Hispanic.
Sure.
And then we have like some like a small Asian population in Portland, but I mean, you have where I live too. We have quite a few Indian, like people from India.
Sure.
Because we have Intel here, and they come over to work at Intel. I'm not stereotyping them, but it's just a fact.
I mean, it happens here too, where we actually have a pretty strong Indian population. They are almost all computer engineers.
Right.
Almost all.
They know where the money is, man.
Yeah, no,
they come here to work hard, and I'm
good job.
Like, heck yeah, go for it, man. I love computers, dude.
Yeah, well, I've done enough Uber at this point that I'm pretty confident that I know where stuff is, and I know where the populations live and what kind of work they do, and like there's not very many mysteries left in San Antonio for me, I don't think. I'm sure there's still plenty, but it's not compared to when I started, where it was just like this fucking torrent of mysteries unveiling themselves to me about how things work here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the whole point I was talking about initially was like, I don't understand why they're complaining so much. And again, maybe it's just that I haven't experienced enough of it to find it as annoying. Because I didn't grow up with it. Because I grew up in a very white neighborhood, with like sprinklings of all the different minorities around me. Like it was a weirdly mixed area where there was like a little bit of everybody, but mostly white people. Like, let's be real.
Right.
But just like a little bit of all the other places. So I grew up around everybody. But I'm just looking at it like, I'm listening to all these white people jokes, and to me, it doesn't sound like they're shitting on me for being white. It sounds like they're trying to connect with me. And the only thing they know about me is that I'm white. But the only thing they know about me is that I'm white, right? But they know that they're not going to share like a cultural background with me because I'm not Hispanic, right? Like, I didn't grow up in their culture.
Is it usually guys or girls
Both.
making these?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, it's both.
Because if it was mostly guys, I'd say that guys kind of have a tendency to kind of rib each other just to kind of see how how much they can take it. If you can roll with the punches, then hey, you're cool. But if not, then we're gonna keep doing it because that's just how guys are.
Pretty much. But no, I mean, like it's both, and to me, it looks a whole lot like they don't know exactly. It's sort of like a clumsy attempt at talking to me because they don't know what to talk about. So they're just like, you're white. Hey.
You must love Parmesan cheese.
Yes. What are your feelings about mayonnaise? What kind of wine do you like?
What kind of cheese do you eat?
Yes.
Every day.
What kind of wine and cheese is your preference, white man? It's
how big is your Labrador Retriever?
Yes, exactly. Fucking. Yeah, to me, it looks a lot more like an attempt to, try and at least begin a conversation and, actually try to form a friendship. It looks a lot less like they're just like, white people. That's not how it comes off to me.
Right, it's not malicious.
Yeah.
At the very least, you can tell it's not malicious.
Yeah, it's definitely not malicious. I mean...
Because I've made jokes about Hispanic people when I was younger.
Sure.
I did it in front of one of my dad's Hispanic friends, and he got all embarrassed about it. But I didn't even realize that it was like a bad thing to do at the time when I made the joke. Like I heard it and I thought it was funny, and so I made the joke, and I laughed, but
sure,
I was kind of oblivious to if anybody else was laughing or not.
I don't think it should be considered this taboo thing. Because it's a way, because the more I've been listening, because I've been listening more to Sargon again, because I just sort of stopped watching his content when he stopped basically just dunking on bedroom feminists.
Yeah, I've slowed down on his content.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, his new content is mostly fine. It's just, it's much more serious, and that's not why I was there. So, yeah. Yeah. But I was listening to him talk about this recently with off-color jokes, and yeah, I think he's pretty much got it. Where it's not even that the jokes are useful for the person listening; they're useful for the person telling, to try and engage with a culture they don't necessarily understand and don't really have a frame of reference of how to do that. Especially when we're talking about the working class. So, in a weird way, it might be the case that racist jokes are actually necessary to decrease racism. And this is sort of just like a thought off the top of my head, so I don't know if it actually makes sense. I was actually
thinking about this earlier today because, well, I don't know why I was thinking about it, but I was walking my dog and I had nothing else to do but, talk to the dog and think. And so I was thinking, I don't necessarily think of myself as a white person. I'm not I'm white. And I can understand why some other minorities might think of themselves as those minorities.
Yeah.
But I think that thinking of yourself as that is a problem, because if you identify yourself primarily as, whatever skin color you are,
sure,
other people are going to start identifying you that way too.
Which nobody likes. It's something I've noticed.
Because what does it even mean to be white? I'm Irish, English, Scottish, Swedish.
You really like
Northern Europe. Yeah, I'm Northern European. And the degree, the variation in cultures in Northern Europe is there's a lot of different cultures there. Sure. So what does it actually mean to be white other than your skin color? And I'm well, it just doesn't really matter to me. If my skin color were purple, it probably wouldn't matter to me either. And I don't really, if people want to look at me based on my skin color, that's their problem.
Yeah.
It's not something, I don't care. Sure, I'm white. And if you're going to try to, actually, I take that back. I do have a problem with it when they try to tell me that I am guilty for something because of my skin color.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Or try to blame me for something because of my skin color. And I can understand, yes, there's historical, I guess, baggage but like, I also think, well, the white people that did that to the black people back then are all dead.
Yeah. Well, I'm beginning to think of it like a fallacy. Like, I'm beginning to think of it as like what I'm sort of loosely calling the time traveler's fallacy, because it never seems to like translate well into an argument, because it sounds like you're talking about one thing but you're not. Because if you're saying like, okay, so the reason we're talking about this is because of what happened over here in the past, right? All right, so we're talking about the past. No, we're talking about the present. Wait, what? Like, so the conditions today are fine. Yeah, but that thing back there wasn't. But you're saying you're fine. Yeah, but that back there, like, are we talking about the past or the present? Like, which are we talking about? It's
just, what is it? Class guilt. It's just a different version of class guilt. It's like group guilt.
It's a fractured argument, in my opinion. It really is a fractured argument where you think you're talking about one thing, but you're really talking about two different things. Because you can't the past and the present are two different time periods, and you have to treat them like that.
Well, I wonder if somebody who believes that, like, well, white people did bad things to black people in the past, so white people need to pay now. I wonder if somebody who believes that if a murderer committed a murder, his son should be executed for that murder if he got away, or if he died of old age and there was no justice done. I wonder if they would be okay with that, like on an individual level, as opposed to like.
You would think that would be a more direct path.
Well, it's the same thing essentially. It's like his ancestor, his father. It's just closer,
Not to mention,
committed a crime.
It becomes a question of like, if you're gonna accuse me of ancestral guilt, well, okay, my ancestors weren't here.
Yeah, mine neither.
Like, my ancestors are Austrian farmers. I got news for you. The Austrians didn't really come to America for quite a while. So
well, yeah, I'm sure my families were all serfs on some farm somewhere in northern Europe.
Yeah, my family England. Came here like in the late 1800s, as far as I can tell. From the light research I did on it, like, I got some news for you. The late 1800s, none of these people were plantation owners. They didn't own slaves. They didn't participate in the slave trade. They're farmers.
The Civil War was over.
Yeah, the Civil War was over. Like, guys, my family didn't participate in this, so I'm out of it, right? No, you still benefited from your whiteness, and I'm like, you're benefiting. It's really mind blowing because I'm like, you're benefiting from your blackness right now because I couldn't say that to you. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Ugh. It's so backwards. The way.
Yeah, that.
It's just fractured. They're making two claims in one thing, but trying to make it like, no, I'm claiming one thing. No, you're claiming like two or three or four things. And you can't seem to distinguish which one you're talking about. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, I just don't believe. Like, I don't believe. Well, one, I don't think their view of history is absolutely correct. Like, it doesn't take into account you can't take into account everything. You're not God. But it doesn't take into account, like, the actual historical contexts. And then two, I don't think you should punish the sons for the sins of the father.
No, I don't. That's completely unfair. Well, I mean, I put it to people like this, because this is like the most direct example, so that people can sort of understand why it's bad. When it comes to something like debt, right? Because something like debt, you actually could make an argument that the estate, aka your family, could be responsible if you die with a ton of debt, right?
Right, you inherit the debt.
Yeah, you can inherit debt, and it becomes a question of, okay, so if your mom died tomorrow, let's say she had $100,000 in debt, Well, that's your direct line of kin. That's your mother. So you're responsible for the $100,000, right? Like, it's your it's your family. You're responsible. Your family took on that debt, so you need to pay it, right? Pay the debt.
That's on some level, yes, but on many more, I would say no. I mean,
it seems fairly analogous. It's a direct line of responsibility.
It seems well. I'm also trying to think like remove it like a couple more like to the grandchildren, and I would say no. Like that's too far removed. But
well, I mean,
like I also want to think about like the person who lent the money. Like, how do they get some sort of compensation out of it?
The reason I'm putting it like that. The reason I'm putting it like that is because I want the person listening to realize it wouldn't be okay if like a debtor came to you and was like, "Hey, your mother owed a lot of money, pay me." You'd be like, "No, fuck you." But when it comes to me, you're perfectly willing to say, your ancestors that aren't my ancestors, by the way, but your ancestors, let's pretend they were for a second.
Some people who happen to share a characteristic
right,
with you in
some
the
people
past.
that kind of look like me, because apparently you can't tell white people apart.
God, racist.
See, I mean, kind of, yeah. Seriously. But someone that vaguely looks like me did something bad in the past. You need to pay for it. How about no? How about I'm responsible for me?
Right, and like the whole, to get back to your debt thing, and then we should probably move on to the next topic.
So we can talk. About Mrs. May.
Yeah, talk about England a little bit.
Let's talk about Brexit. Our brothers over the pond.
Yeah. The debt thing, like I do think that there is a case to make, like the creditor probably has some claim to some sort of, I don't know, restitution.
Sure.
Because they did expect it. But I guess that's part of the risk when you like make a loan.
It is.
Is that they can't pay it in the end. That's where you determine like the interest and stuff like that. And it should be, I guess, determined in the contract up front. Like, well, if you pass away and you can't do this, then it goes on to your children, but then the children should have to agree to that too, I guess. Be like co-signers. Anyway.
Normally speaking, that would be established in the will. And it sort of becomes like this weird gray territory where the debtors, like the debt collectors, might come after you, but you're not really legally under any obligation to pay it. So
yeah, they're gonna try.
They're gonna try, but you're not really under any obligation. So yeah.
Okay.
At least
I think I've worked it out in my head.
Yeah, I don't think you're actually under any legal obligation, even if they're related to you, to actually pay anyone else's debts.
Yeah, I'd be more interested in paying a relation's debt if they were still alive. To help them out. But if they're dead, it's like, well, that's not really helping anybody out. That's not helping me.
Yeah, that's.
It's helping the debt collector. But
yeah, but fuck those guys. Seriously. Debt collectors are a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, nobody likes debt collectors.
Seriously. I feel bad for those guys sometimes because, like, no one likes them. I'm trying to imagine dating as a debt collector and being like, hey, baby, you want me to collect your debt? Be like, fuck you?
Some chicks probably get off on the power. I don't know.
I'd be sitting there thinking, oh, this guy's a dickhead. All right, but Mrs. May is leaving Downing Street, but not today. God, please just leave.
Yeah, I saw this and I was kind of shocked, like that she actually. I mean, it's been a long time coming, but I didn't read anything on it. I just kind of saw the headline and was like, oh, I better look into that later.
I mean, she didn't really have a choice. At this point, it was becoming either she leaves like this, or she leaves with her being forced out. So, at least she's allowed to leave with some grace, relatively speaking.
Is there a benefit to her party for leaving this way? Like, do they get to maintain the prime ministership, or is there another election?
I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work, but it seems like the Tories still are going to maintain power. So I don't know if that's the reason she did this, was for the sake of her party. Although, because if she was doing it for the sake of her party, she should have left a long goddamn time ago. Because
I don't know how the British political system works super well.
I mean, leave or remain, either way, everyone hates May at this point. Like,
right? She tried to like do some sort of like middle, like half leave sort of thing, and pissed off all the leave people, and then the Remain people weren't happy either.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it was the worst possible option. It's like, hey, so we're not gonna leave, but we're not really going to stay either, so we have no rights, but we haven't left. Oh, great. Thanks. That sounds amazing, Theresa May. I've always wanted to be a slave. Oh, man.
Make Britain great again. Make Britain a colony of the EU.
Yeah, make Britain a fucking ironic colony again. God, I can't imagine Britain as a fucking colony. That would almost be poetic justice.
But Rome did it. Britain was a colony of Rome.
I forgot about that.
That was the last time.
I forgot about that. Fuck's sake! No wonder they imperialized everything. They're like, never again. But regardless, this is important stuff. May is leaving. It looks like the end of May actually will be the end of May.
You think that's why she did it? She's like,
she was going for the pun. She's going for the fucking pun. I think she's leaving near the end of June in reality, but she is the end of May was the end of May, so it still works.
She announced the end of May
at the end of May. Yes. Let's see. Standing in front of 10 Downing Street, Mrs. May said it was in the best interest of the country for a new prime minister. No shit. To lead Britain through the Brexit process. I don't care which side you're on. This is a giant no shit. She announced plans to step down as the leader of the Conservative Party. Thank you. Good Lord, this has been painful. With the process to replace her beginning the following week, she will remain as a lame duck prime minister until a new leader is chosen. Probably by the end of July. Okay. Oh, so she's just going to stick around and, basically not do anything until, they actually pick someone. But she's officially leaving on June 7th.
She's fulfilling the, administrative stuff, and
right.
If a decision needs to be made by the prime minister, she can make it. But she's pretty much just not going to do anything.
She's keeping the seat warm.
Yeah.
I feel as certain today as I did 3 years ago that in a democracy, if you give people a choice, you have a duty to implement what they decide. I'm not sure what the fuck you were doing then. I have done my best to do that. That's pathetic, but okay. I have done everything I can to convince MPs to back that deal. Sadly, I have not been able to do so because your deal does not mean leaving. Mrs. May voice cracked as she said she was honored to serve the country as the second female prime minister. No one cares, but certainly not the last. Probably true. Said the role has been the honor of her life. Fair enough. I'm sure it has been. The speech followed a meeting with Graham Brady, a powerful leader of backbench conservative lawmakers. Good job, Graham Brady. Thank you. I don't know what the fuck you said, but thank you. She will continue as a member of parliament after stepping down as prime minister, the Press Association news agency has reported. All right. Looks like the European Union is worried about what comes next. You should be, because there's a very good chance Boris Johnson is getting in. Do you know who that is?
Sargon of Akkad. No, I don't really know who Boris Johnson. I've heard the name, but
Boris Johnson, basically, if he gets in, a no-deal Brexit is almost imminent.
Hooray!
That's almost guaranteed. Well, I mean, I don't know about hooray, but it's certainly better than bad deal Brexit.
Better than what we have right now.
Yes, well, I mean, yeah, that's true.
Or I guess what they have.
Yeah. I feel a certain kinship with the British brothers.
Yeah, our cousins across the sea.
Got to take care of them. It's important that Americans care what happens to the British. I think.
I care. I just want a damn Brexit already.
Yeah, seriously, I just wanted to fucking have... Because it's been so long that they've actually been using that as an argument. It's been like, it's been 3 years, guys. Can't we have another vote now? It's like, the reason it's been 3 years is because you fucking Remainers have been pissing and moaning the whole time. It seriously would be... It would be one thing if they got out, and then we had a conversation about, okay, so do we want back... Like, if you want to have another vote that's like, hey, we want to get back in, okay. But first, leave. Respect the vote. Do what you said you're going to do. And then you can have discussions about, okay, are we going back in? Are we making new trade deals? Like, what are we doing? But first, you have to leave. Because that's what you said you were going to do. So fucking do it. And then we can talk about other things.
Yeah, like, you have to... You got to friggin' leave first. You can't...
Yeah, you can't just change the vote midstream. Like, that's fucking ridiculous. And they're like, well, more...
Right, you can't keep voting until you get the result you want. That's just not how it works.
I think this whole thing has produced the stupidest argument I've ever seen. It might actually be the stupidest argument I've ever seen, because every time I'm arguing with someone, and I call them undemocratic for wanting to hold a second vote, it's like, how could you be against second vote? That's more votes, so it's more democratic.
Yep, that's totally how that works.
Yeah, seriously, I'm like, that's not how that works, you moron. Like, what's even the point of the vote if you just keep having votes? What the fuck is the point?
Well, we keep voting until we get what we want, because more democracy means better. I'm not even a big fan of, like,
more
democracy.
Vote equals more democracy equals better. And I'm like, then what's the problem with the first vote? Because it wasn't Remain. Yeah, exactly. So when it's not leave, why the fuck should they respect your vote? Why shouldn't they just hold their own vote again? And then you hold a vote, and then they hold a vote, and then you hold a vote. Like, do we just keep holding votes until something just randomly happens? Is it going to be Schrodinger's vote where no one actually knows which way it's going to go until it just does? Jesus Christ.
With the whole Brexit thing, I've been thinking, like, I think about this kind of stuff a lot. Well, what happens if for whatever reason there is a second vote? Say, Theresa May was like, okay, let's have a second vote.
I don't think that's happening at this point. Like, because she's tried.
No, actually. I don't think it's happening either. But let's just, for instance, let's say that did happen, and then they say it goes Remain.
Yeah.
Like, what happens to all those people that wanted to leave? Like, what is their recourse at that point? Because they made hold
another vote.
They went through the is it like they went through the democratic process? They were ignored by the political class, and then told that they were evil people for wanting what they wanted, and then voting that way, and then got dicked around for 3 years, and then finally told, no, we're actually not doing what you wanted. Like, the democratic process at that point it's not a democratic process. It's just, you'll do what we want. We give you the vote to kind of just, like,
placate you.
Give you the illusion that you have a say in the process.
Yeah.
It's like, at what point, because, the people have the right to overthrow their government. If like, at what point would you get there?
What's p-hacking?
I don't know. Maybe it's like how you fix a drug test.
Well, no, I went back and looked at the chat again, because I apparently am the worst chat manager ever. And IT News says that's p-hacking. I don't know what that means. So IT News, if you're still watching, tell me in the chat, because I don't know what that means.
It's where you fix a drug test, man. You gotta pee in a cup, and you gotta hack that shit so they don't know you've been smoking the night before.
Look, you go to Planet K, you get the synthetic urine. There's a catheter tube that you get that comes out of a sack that I don't know anything about.
I've never had this problem.
Me neither. I've heard from friends that it's called Monkey Whiz, and it apparently works great, in case anyone knows information.
I've never had to worry about this. I don't.
Me neither. Those those drug addicts.
Right.
In
Well,
their marijuana.
Well, I guess in Oregon it's legal to smoke pot, but you still
tell the police that.
Yeah. It's not really a big deal.
Tell the police recruiters that. Fuck's sake.
Well, it's still federally illegal. So
I know.
A lot of places don't want to hire you. Anyway.
I get it, but like, it's like, come on, guys. And first of all, I'm just like, I know, fucking, just, if you know that there's a drug test, and you know that they're not going to hire you if you've been smoking weed, but you want to be a cop, seriously, at some point, maybe the recruiters just on the sly need to start talking to people and being like, look, if you've been having a couple of tokes, maybe you need to fucking go by a little head shop, maybe pick up some Cynthia. Just talk to them. They'll know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about.
There's a market for this shit.
Yeah, no, at head shops, it's pretty common, actually. Let's see. Oh, p-hacking is the misuse of data analysis to find patterns in data that can be presented as... Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I understand now. He's just talking about the idea that, at least if I'm reading this correctly, is basically just manipulating statistics to make it sound like what you're talking about makes sense. When it probably doesn't. And this is kind of what I've been saying for a long time when it comes to any kind of statistics. To me, statistics without context might as well be lies.
Well, there's three kinds of lies, man. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Well, I think people will make fun of that a little bit because it's not really accurate. Because statistics do have value. It's just the problem with statistics becomes who's presenting it. And
it becomes context.
Yes, context. Well, that's what I mean. Like presenting a statistic without the context of the study, like properly introducing the context in an honest way, basically makes it so you can say whatever the fuck you want.
I have a pet peeve when people just say, "Well, there have been studies," and I'm like, "You actually have not read any studies on this. You're just saying that as an appeal to authority."
I think my favorite,
or you heard somebody else mention a study, and you're like, "There have been studies on this."
Well, my favorite rebuttal to that has always been like, "Yeah, there were studies back in the '60s that said lobotomies could solve all your problems." Are you getting a lobotomy?
There were also studies that said if you have asthma, you should start smoking.
Yeah, I seem to remember a study that said vaccines give you autism. You're getting
don't start that debate. That's been going on here in Oregon.
Oh my god! Fucking! Did you see this shit over in We're not even talking about Brexit anymore. And did you see this shit over in California? Apparently, there's like a real risk of the Black Plague coming back to LA.
Right, like Jesus, guys, get your shit together.
And apparently, LA's not the only place. Like when you start, apparently Portland's not actually that far behind LA in these problems.
Oh, we never are.
Because the real problem is the rats, like just the sheer number of rats. Because they tend to, as the population grows, if one rat has a problem, has like a disease, it just spreads like wildfire throughout the population. If the population's covering your entire city, guess what? Your entire city now has the problem.
Right, like that's why I pay somebody to keep the rodents out of my house.
Yeah, IC News is like there were studies that the black man was half a man. Yeah, pretty much. I don't care if there was a study. I care what's in the study. Tell me, like, if you really... I've gotten to a point where it's like, look, if you want to talk about the study, I want to talk about the methodology, I want to talk about the conclusions, I want to talk about data gathering. Like, if you want to talk about the study, let's talk about the study. But 9 times out of 10, you probably didn't even read it. Let's be real.
Right, like, that's not conducive to internet conversations typically. Yeah. Like on here, like if we wanted to like actually pull up a study and discuss it, like we could do that. But if you're like on Twitter or Facebook or something and you're like, well, studies show what it's like, bullshit, like link the damn studies or get out.
Seriously, I want to see the study you're talking about because I guarantee you whatever study it is you're quoting, I could probably find another study that says the exact opposite. So which one do I listen to, right? And then you have the whole like consensus argument, and it's like, well, look at all these studies over here that say this. And it's like, that doesn't actually mean that those studies are wrong. It just means that this has been more common. Like, that's not how the scientific method works. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, and you always got to remember it's the internet, so don't believe everything
Yes.
you read on the internet.
That dude, that used to be like the mantra of the '90s. The fucking
right, like
like people made fun of people that were like, "Well, I saw this thing on the internet," and you'd have people like snickering at you, like,
yeah.
"Oh, you saw it on the internet, huh? Oh, really? How many Bigfoots did you find?" Yeah. Well, I think
dude, that guy's real. I seen him.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I think it's because there's a lot of like major news outlets that move to the internet, so it's seen as more legitimate. And it's like, no, guys, it's the exact same as it's ever been. It's the exact same.
Well, you can find the answer you want anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, it's like,
Nothing's
what answer
changed.
do you want?
It's slightly more reliable now, and I do mean slightly.
Yeah, it's you gotta use your reasoning, man. You gotta use some of that facts and logic and
don't let them
understand.
destroy you.
I fully understand wanting to just be like, I want this to be true, so I'm going to believe it because I'm sure that I've done that before. I'm almost positive.
Who hasn't?
That I've done that before. But now, like, we grew up with the internet more or less, so I feel like we're a little more, I don't know, immunized against that. And the generation after us,
dude,
like
explain
Gen
the
Z,
journalists then. Jesus Christ.
well, they're ivory tower progressives, man. Like,
fuck's sake.
That's is what it is. There's actually a book I want to read that kind of explains that mindset, but I'm going to look it up. But
are you talking about the coddling of the American mind?
No, though I have that book on Audible. I'm going to listen to it soon.
Yeah. I keep saying I'm going to use Audible to listen to audiobooks, and I never end up doing it. I really need to. I drive around way too much for it not to be a reasonable thing. I've got 12 rules for life, and I still haven't fucking listened to it. I need to.
Dude, I have like the hard copy of that book, and I've read it. I'm on my second read. Yeah, I liked it. If you listen to his lectures and stuff, you'll get a lot of it from there too. It's like a lot of the same things.
I think that's part of the reason I haven't, because I feel like I pretty much know Jordan Peterson's opinions on things for the most part.
I think he does make it. It's just another method of conveying the same information, I think.
Sure.
But it's like, for me, it's just a good way of retaining the knowledge, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think we should probably start wrapping it up soon, because it's approaching 11, and I do actually need to get back out there. Because I have been being lazy this week, so I need to go work. But, there's not a whole lot left to say about Brexit. It's looking...
We didn't talk about the milkshakes.
Oh, my God. Don't milkshake people. Stop being a cunt.
Right. I just wanted to get your opinion. Are throwing milkshakes on political figures violence?
Don't fucking... I mean, probably, yeah. It's not the worst thing, but, like, it never seems... Like, because that's the argument that I've heard the most, and it makes perfect sense to me. It never stops there. Like, even with the people that aren't throwing the milkshakes, if you throw a milkshake at someone, especially in Britain where there have been things like acid attacks, throwing drinks on someone over in Europe is a little bit different than it is here. Like, over here, you're like, what the fuck, bro? Over there, they're like, what the fuck, bro? What was that? So, yeah.
Yeah, like, I think it's like a very low level of violence. It's not something like, oh my God, the world's going to end. Like, but I do, like, if someone were to throw a milkshake, I think, if someone throws a milkshake on me, like, I'll be pissed, and I'll probably want to punch them, and then that would probably start a bigger fight. But I might be able to control myself. But if somebody threw a milkshake on, say, like, my wife, like, that'd probably be the last thing they ever did.
Well, the problem becomes, like, when you do it against political opponents, because it's not... You're not just throwing a milkshake at Nigel Farage, or Tommy Robinson, or Sargon of Akkad, or Carl Benjamin, or whoever it is you're throwing a milkshake at. You're throwing a milkshake at that person, and then drawing the ire of a massive crowd. So now it's gone from you just threw a milkshake to, okay, I've just pissed off an entire crowd of people, and my only response is I've got milkshakes. So they start grabbing whatever they can, and suddenly it went from throwing a milkshake to everyone's beating everyone with bricks. So, yeah, and that's not a hypothetical. That actually has happened a couple of times. So
that happened to Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, people need to chill the fuck out. Like, you can't just... I don't care how emotionally cathartic it is for you. That emotional catharsis might be the last thing you ever do.
Well, right, it's not that...
Because someone's going to beat your brains out with a brick.
It's not the act of throwing a milkshake on somebody. It's you're disrespecting that person, and if it's somebody that somebody else respects, they're going to be upset. They're going to be angry about it.
And
so it's not just like a...
And now two sides are fighting, and it's
they're going to be mad at you.
Battle. Yeah, it's going to be this whole giant battle that just all you had to do was not just be a cunt in general. That's all you had to do.
Well, it's like politics is such a tinderbox already. It's like quit throwing matches at it already.
People need to chill the fuck out.
If you in Sargon's instance, like he will invite you over and you can talk to him, and then if you think his ideas are so god awful and terrible, crush them.
Yeah.
Like, go for it. He'll let you kick his ass in a political dialogue.
Dude,
he will let you do that.
There's actually a section of the progressives that are extremely excited by the idea of having like a giant debate forum, and their idea was they're going to get David Pakman. Okay, sure. Destiny, Double Giggle, and then Kyle Kalinske, who I actually have a lot more respect for personally. I like Kyle a lot more than the other ones. I don't watch him very much anymore, but I certainly like him more as a presenter. I feel like he's more honest, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But they're like, we're going to get these three guys together, and they're going to crush all the conservatives with facts and logic. And I'm like, oh my god. Oh no. Oh, you guys think this is going to work. Holy shit. All right. Okay.
All right, we'll get like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, seriously. Don't put Dave Rubin up there. He's a good interviewer, but he's not a very good debater.
Yeah, he's not a big... I agree with that. He's not big on the whole like confrontation.
And I want their three guys. I want Joe Rogan stoned out of his mind as the moderator. And then we get Jordan Peterson. For the question to IT News, I'm not Republican. I actually tend to lean Democrat. But, I mean, hey man, when the conservatives are right, they're right. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, he's Republican, straight up. But I lean more liberal. I'm actually planning on voting for either Yang or Gabbard if I can.
I am an elected precinct committee person for the Republican Party of Oregon.
Yeah, I'm not, like, dedicated to either party, but, yeah, most likely, if at all possible, I'm voting for either Yang or Gabbard. It really just depends on whether or not that's even an option, whether we're talking about the primary or the general. But, yeah, that's who I'm interested in. To
be honest, I'm not, like, super dedicated to either party either. I've became a Republican, I think, last year, like late last year, so... Hasn't even been a year yet.
But anyway, like I want them to have their three guys.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Stone Joe Rogan as the moderator, and we're gonna have like Peterson, Shapiro, and I don't know who's like a third good one. Maybe Crowder. He's a good debater. I feel like he's gotten pretty strong recently. Like
he's good, but I think he's more interested in like being funny.
That's
than
true.
Actual like a serious debate.
I guess we could like lean it out a little bit since because Peterson is right, but he's not like hard right. He's not Shapiro.
Right. He's not a Shapiro level.
Yeah, maybe get like Stephen Fry back because he's worked with Jordan Peterson before. Because I mean, even though Fry would probably agree with the other side on a lot of things, Trump turned up. What did Trump do?
MAGA baby. Trump 2020.
Trump 2020.
I don't know. Right now, he's the one that has my vote because I can't vote in the Democratic primary, so I don't know who the challenger is.
That's fair.
But if it is Yang or Tulsi Gabbard, I'll actually give them a hard look before I vote Trump.
Actually, I just remembered recently that Crenshaw actually does similar things to Shapiro. He just gets less attention.
Oh yeah.
So maybe give Crenshaw a third spot.
Yes,
he would do it.
He is my main man, dude. I love that guy.
Honestly, if Crenshaw put in a challenge on Trump, I'd consider it.
Oh yeah, I would. If it's the option were Crenshaw or Trump, I'd go Crenshaw.
I'm just saying, if there's anyone that could launch a serious bid, like a serious challenge, it might actually be Crenshaw. Trump turns you into a Republican.
Oh no, I've always been more Republican leaning. I live in a very progressive area, and so my natural, I guess, contrarian tendencies kind of led me that way. Plus, my family's a little more conservative than progressive, or I guess Democrat. Though we never really talked politics ever.
Honestly, man, IT news, fucking, I used to be like borderline communist, so I'm not exactly a conservative. I never have been.
I was always more libertarian, but we can talk about that next week when we have you on. We can talk about our politics a little more.
Sure. But yeah, I really need to start heading out the door. So
we'll let you get to work, man. Go make that money.
Yeah. I am going to go ahead and shut the stream down. IT News, I believe you already have Cody's information, so I will let you guys
set it up,
figure out the details, and I will talk to everyone later. Y'all have a great night.
Have a good weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Thank your veterans. See you guys next week.